So this weekend was the Dallas Card Show over in New Jersey. Yes, the Dallas Card Show travels. I was confused by the name as well. I went both Saturday and Sunday. Was able to pick up a ton of good stuff. I'm going to take you through it a little bit today, kind of show you what I was able to pick up and talk about just sourcing my inventory in general. This box is all just pickups from the Dallas Card Show. I spent a total of $800 and got a total of 740 cards. So that comes out to right about $1.08 per card. So let's just get right into it. Look at some of this stuff. I don't really know baseball that well, so my general kind of philosophy when I'm looking at baseball or hockey stuff is anything that has an auto or anything that's like low numbered, I'm going to grab. Dominic Mysterio, I'm a big fan of his. I watch a lot of wrestling. Can't go wrong with Roman Reigns and Randy Orton. You can mostly ignore these stickers because you kind of negotiate all these prices down. I don't know what the hell this is, but that is a cool looking parallel. This is number to 50. So yeah, when I go to these card shows, I'm not really looking at like the big stuff behind the glass. I am looking specifically for dollar bins or value bins. A lot of people have like a $2 bin or a value bin. So generally my approach when I go there is right at the beginning, before you start looking, a couple patches. You got Dak, you got Ladd McConkey, Lamar Jackson, Andy Silver, die cut, Joe Burrow rookies. So yeah, right when you start looking, before you really dig into it, you want to ask right away the vendor whether or not they're willing to kind of negotiate. Usually what I'll say is, if I pick out a big stack, will you be willing to work with me on price? I've never had a vendor tell me no, but you want to make sure you kind of set that groundwork, because last thing you want to do is spend 2 hours pulling out cards and then he says prices are firm and now you don't really want to pay that. White gold to 49. These purples are dope. Dylan Gabriel, Joe Burrow. So my intention with these cards, like I said, I paid about $1.08 per card. So what I'm looking for is anything that'll sell on my eBay for at least $2.50. I sell everything on eBay with free shipping. So if I sell for $2.50, that means it is going to be going about $1.25 into my bank account, so it's a profit. As long as I'm breaking even on these cards, there are enough big hits that I'm going to kind of come out way ahead at the end of the day. I don't do no shit about golf, but this looks nice. Numbered 1 out of 20. I don't know who Paul Casey is, but again, impeccable. Numbered to 20. I have to figure that I'm going to be able to find a buyer willing to pay $2.50. Or selling my Whatnot starting at $2, because and Whatnot, if you sell for $2, you net $1.55. So those are kind of the two break points that I'm thinking about when I'm going through dollar bins. Now, kind of more generally, this is a case hit blue glitter. That's numbered to 50. Autos. I had somebody comment on one of my other videos kind of just asking me about how I go about getting my inventory, because they said, number 101, if they buy on eBay and sell on eBay, they're kind of getting eaten alive on the fees on both ends, and that is for the most part true. Again, number 101, Carson Wentz patch. That is going to be game used. So there are three kind of main ways that I go about finding inventory. Card shows, as you can see, is one of them. Card shows is going to be a lot of my very lower end inventory, just because I'm digging through value bins. I'm finding $1, $2, $3 cards. I'm trying to get them cheaper than that. Stuff like this should sell for $5, $6, $7, $8 easy. Big names numbered to 300. Big names. That one's numbered to like 50. Jalen Hurts rookies, can't go wrong. Tyler Warren, one of the top receivers from last year's class, numbered to 5. Autos, Tom Brady parallels. On card Miles Sanders auto, that's a pretty dope card. So in addition to the live card shows, I also buy on eBay. I do auction sniping. If you are able to find a good auction house that combines shipping, you can buy a ton together. That way the shipping is nice and cheap, and you can actually still flip it for pretty decent, profits. And then the last one, and this is probably my main source of revenue, is Facebook groups. I'm in a lot of buy, sell, trade Facebook groups. Is this game worn Ayuk rookie? Not any specific. Damn, 2020. I thought that was game 1. Anyways, Patty Mahomes color match. So Facebook groups, you'll go into these groups. People will sell you giant kind of lots or even entire collections, and you can get a lot of good deals. The main form of my inventory is probably Facebook groups. But these card shows are fun. So just a couple of things to kind of keep in mind when you're doing these card shows so you're not wasting your time, you're not wasting anybody else's time. Bo Jackson, that is a dope card. Scattable variation, darts, super popular. Right, so the first major tip, again, I would say is to ask the dealer right away. And actually, no, the first thing you got to do, and this has kind of become a more recent issue with card shows, is scout the card show ahead of time. And by that, I mean, I've recently started doing kind of Pokemon and baseball and hockey and everything, just because now I've been doing this as my full-time job. But when I was doing this part-time and I only really did basketball and football, I would regularly get into the situation where I would drive, 30, 40 minutes to a card show. I would get there and it would be like a game, a TCG card show only. They would only have, Pokemon vendors or, Yu-Gi-Oh! Or whatever the hell the other popular card games are. Kincaid, that is sick for $2, and I probably got it for even cheaper, $1 on the Kincaid to 75 Obsidian. So you go to these card shows. I remember like the Woodbridge Mall card show. There's 200 tables. I got there, and there was one guy selling sports cards. One guy. And then another time I went, and there was like 3 guys selling sports cards, and only one of them had a value box. So you spent a ton of time, and now you're walking away empty-handed. And, when you're doing this, time is kind of your biggest asset, because there's only so many hours in the day to review kind of deals. Ooh, White Sparkle, Chris Johnson, that's sick. I don't even remember what I bought because I'm buying so many goddamn cards so quickly at these events. So the last thing you want to do is spend half a day traveling to a show where you're not going to actually get any inventory, because now not only did you not get any inventory, but you waste the time that you could have been negotiating deals on Facebook or finding auctions to snipe on eBay. So it's just a huge waste of time. So before you go anywhere, I would scout ahead. A lot of these, big shows, sometimes they'll explicitly say like sports cards as the first thing in the title. For the sports cards, TCG, the sports cards are going to be pretty prominent. Or some of the smaller shows, they'll have like a contact on their Instagram page or whatever. And I'll DM these guys and say, hey, what do you expect to be the mix of sports cards to TCG? And if they say 50-50, I'll go. Because then, you're probably going to find at least some amount of inventory there, or at least a chance to find inventory there. Obviously it might not work out, but you want to make sure you at least have a chance. That was all the football I had for the day. Let's look at basketball. We got Canton Clark rookies. Melo always goes well. LeBron goes well. These purples, I like them. Igor Demon, nice rookie on the X Fractor. Shy, great time to be getting Thunder cards. Great time to be getting, all these guys are pretty hot in the playoffs right now or had great rookie years. So yeah, once you figure out if the show is going to have the type of inventory you're looking for, obviously I'm talking about sports cards, you might want a show that's just doing TCGs. In that case, make sure that they're doing TCGs. So once you get there, first thing you do, you scope out the room, figure out where the value bins are, and before you start digging through them, ask the guy, are you willing to work, or are you willing to negotiate prices? Because you don't want to spend 2 hours pulling out cards and then having them say prices are firm. Now, when I'm at a show, this one was huge. There was like 300 tables. So you need to be a little bit like selective in figuring out which tables you're going to go to and which value bins you want to spend time in. So here's kind of my tips on how to scout value bins before you spend a ton of time actually digging in them. These are all, I'm getting excited all over again seeing that I got these cards for $1.08 a card. Holy crap. Tune into my Whatnot. I'm going live next week every night at 10 p.m. Trying to get back on a normal schedule, but a lot of these cards will definitely be going on my Whatnot. So right, if you're at a show with like a ton of vendors who all have value bins, this is how you kind of quickly deduce whether or not it is worth your time to be going through those value bins. I like to see a sign right off the bat that says either $1 or $2 or that the seller already committed to prices of the cards in the bin before he got there. Tiger Stripe, James Wiseman rookie. That's crazy. That's probably like a $100 card at one point more. Now it's in a dollar bin. That's funny. So yeah, you want to see a sign that says either $1 a card or $2 a card. What is a red flag for me, that is number 99, is if I just see a sign that says, you know, prices vary or prices as marked, because then you're going to sort of have, you know, a ton of stuff. They call it a value bin, but everything is priced, you know, high. Like you're going to see $10, $20 card stickers on $4 or $5 cards. That's kind of, they're going in the opposite direction. I always say the last thing you want to do is get in a situation where you need to negotiate to get somebody to their starting point. So if you have to spend 20 minutes negotiating for the guy to come down to where he should have started, you're never going to get him down to where you want him to be. So right off the bat, I really want to look at boxes where they've already committed to a price on the box. You can usually, if it says prices vary or prices as marked, you can just grab like a handful of cards and you can tell right away if are these prices reasonable or are these prices ridiculous. You should have kind of a sense of what you're able to sell cards for before you're going into these shows. Then the other thing you want to look out for is, again, you can kind of tell very quickly by taking a stack of cards and looking through them quickly, is, are they actually looking to give people deals? Are these, you know, are you going to find good quality cards in the bin, or is it just a bunch of base? I've seen plenty of value bins where you kind of pull out a stack of cards and sure, everything is marked at $1, but it's like all a bunch of base nonsense. There isn't a single, you know, card worth more than $1 in there. So at that point, it's like, well, what are we really doing here? You're not going to find anything. You're just going to end up wasting your time looking through base. That's kind of my two thoughts on that. But again, these are all, I mean, these, again, cards that bread and butter easily. Most of these cards, I would say, on eBay will sell for $4 or $5, and whatnot, $3, $4. And I'm getting them for $1 a card. Shy, PV Rookie, Shy, Brooks the 225, International. Autos, that's number to 49. And again, a part of this is you do need to have some experience selling cards. Like, you need to have a frame of reference in your mind of what I can get for these type of cards on average in order to be able to go through these bins quickly. Otherwise, you can't be standing there at $1 bin comping cards, you know, at $1 bin, or you're just going to not only waste your time, but you're going to clog the dealer's table. He's going to get annoyed. It's not going to be good for anybody. Steph Curry raining threes, another Denim X-Factor. Demin. I'm going to show you, finish this row of basketball, and then show you another cool row that I found. And I'll wrap it up. I love these Finest cards. Brand new. Ewing getting posterized, always a fun card. Shaq on the, and again, you can't go wrong with these cards at $1 a card. It would be impressive to lose money when you're getting inventory this cheap. So yeah, this is again kind of going back to the point I was talking about in one of my other videos, is finding inventory. You know, the reason why I don't necessarily focus on higher end cards is because stuff like this truly is so easy to repeat. Like, you can go to any card show almost and find inventory like this any, you know, weekend of the year. Finding good deals on high-end cards, that's hard. That's not necessarily going to be repeatable. But this, you know, it's almost like an infinite amount of this stuff is out there. So on the second day, there wasn't really a lot of deals to be had on the second day. But I did find one guy who had like a pretty crazy box of just autos and patches. And he had the box labeled, you know, $2 a card. And I asked him right off the bat, kind of going back to what I've been saying this entire video. I said, look, if I buy a bunch, are you willing to come down to $1.50 a card? And he said, sure. And I ended up buying so much, he came down to $1.40 a card. Nice guy. So yeah, just kind of showing you what type of stuff you could find at some of these shows. Again, I don't know much about baseball, but anything that looks cool, I assume I could sell for $2 or $2.50. Any Pro Uni Auto NBA is going to sell. Brendan Rice numbered, again, Pro Uni Autos. I think I sold some of this guy's stuff before. Baseball, anything that's numbered or has ink on card usually will sell for at least $3 or $4. I don't know who any of these people are, but Tyler Smith, Kevin McEwler, basketball, I do know all these guys. David Duke. Again, nothing like crazy in here, but you're easily going to make money when you're getting stuff this cheap. $1.40 a card. Brand new, game used, again, game used. Drew Stanton on card. Colin Sexton patch. Jason Wallace going deep in the playoffs 2 years in a row. Chase Brown killed it this year. Just sold one of these for $3. Just sold one of these for $3. Again, a little bit of this is experience of knowing, you know, I know what these cards are. I know how they sell. I know how to sell them. But I don't want to say they sell themselves because it does take work, but you're going to have pretty good margins if you're buying this cheap. Definitely excited to run some of these on Whatnot next week, so make sure you are following me on Whatnot and on eBay. SB Cards 86 on both. I bought out almost, this guy's almost like half his bin. He had like a giant ass, you know, 2-row bin. I think I bought out a full row of it. And then Trevor Etienne, he's going to be starting next year. Lakers autos always go hard. Again, just sold one of these for $3. Got it for $1.50, $1.40. And then my two favorite pickups of the show. Goldberg on the Prismatic Green Pulsar to 25 and SpongeBob to 75. I don't think this one is worth that much. This one seems to be worth like $20 or so. I got it for $5. But I sold like another SpongeBob card recently for $300. I couldn't believe my eyes, but yeah, SpongeBob apparently has a great market right now. All right, that's it for the Dallas Card Show pickups. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Talk to you guys soon.